Yeah, my name is Mark Pearson. I'm the founder and the owner of Zen Foto Gallery, which is a photography gallery based in Tokyo. And we have also published quite a number of books of photography during the past more than a decade. And myself, I'm originally British, and I actually first came to Japan in the 1980s. I worked in Japan for many years before establishing a photography gallery. And in the last 7 years, I've come to Hong Kong, lived in Hong Kong for almost 7 years now. And I've continued my photography and the book publishing activities during all this time. And so in recent years, I've also published a number of books by Hong Kong photographers, books about Hong Kong, including also mainland China. I'm very pleased to be invited to participate and contribute to this exhibition combining books and the related photographs. I do believe it's quite an unusual combination exhibition, and therefore I find it very interesting. I like this exhibition also because it's very much themed on Hong Kong. It's either photographs and books by Hong Kong-based and Hong Kong native photographers, but also we've included some photographers who are outside Hong Kong, come and take photographs of Hong Kong, for example, Mr. Yamauchi of Japan. And so I enjoy it. I think it's very interesting, as I say. I also think it's very good time to do it now when people are thinking about the current state of Hong Kong and potentially the future of Hong Kong, to review the view of the artists and the view of the artists as they have evolved in the last, let's say, 3 decades. So when I was invited to participate in the exhibition combining photographs and books, well, clearly one criteria is to find the cases where I can both introduce the work and the books. That's the whole purpose of this exhibition. So first of all, I chose the artists and the books who are local. So I introduced Chan Wai-kwong, who is Hong Kong-based, and today we've introduced 2 books and works from those books. So the first one is a book called Yao Ma Tei, and it's Chan's work based on this more traditional area, older area, which still retains much of the older feeling of Hong Kong. It has not been modernized so much. So it's really his expression of his affection and perhaps love for old Hong Kong, which is apparent in this book of Yao Ma Tei. And the other work which we're showing the book is called Oh My Little Girl, and it's a much more personal work where he introduces his own life and relationship with, actually in this case it's mostly set in Macau. So that's Chan Wai-kwong. And the other contemporary and recent book, actually, we just published this book this year. The book is called No Teacher, But I Can Take Photos. And it's the photographs by Chao San. And Chao San, it's his first published book, although he had one self-published book previously. And I selected Chao San because his work is very light, it's very humorous. And again, it's a very affectionate view of the people and the life which he observes in ordinary daily life on his travels to and from work, that he can observe these humorous situations that he manages to capture with great skill. And I like him because much contemporary photography is quite serious and heavy, but in Chao San's case, it really reminds me of the work of the older Parisian photographers like Duano or others who used to capture these little moments of humor and absurdity in daily life. So I was very happy to introduce Chao San's work here. In this exhibition, I've also shared 3 Japanese photographers' works and books. And one of them is about Hong Kong, and 2 of them are set in Japan. So I'll talk a little bit about those 2 to begin with. Firstly, we have Hideka Tonomura, who is a Japanese woman photographer. And today we're showing the works and the book for her series called They Called Me Yukari. And this is a autobiographical series of photographs that she took when she had come to Tokyo to make a life in Tokyo from her hometown in Kobe. And she has worked as a photographer, but in order to earn enough money to live in Tokyo, she worked in a bar in the district of Shinjuku called Kabukicho. So it's a nightlife area. And so in this book, she shows her life. She shows both color works and black and white works. The color works are the kind of craziness and the surreality of what happens inside the bar, where there's drinking, girls and ladies are entertaining the male guests, and this is contrasted in the book with the black and white works, which are the works that she takes in her real life, that is, works in her apartment, at home, or again, walking through the streets late night or early morning after finishing her work in the bar. So it's a very personal work, and it reflects this contrast between the kind of superficial happiness of the created in the bar with the perhaps sadness of her feeling in her real daily life. And the other works that I've introduced today is by Araki. So Araki has had a very long career in Japan. I gather that much more than 200 books have been published by Araki. But actually the book and the work which I've introduced today is possibly his oldest published work. The book was published about 10 years ago, but the work comes from about 1965, 1966. And I think almost, if not perhaps, the very earliest of Araki's published photographs. And what's quite remarkable about this book and these works is we can see in this book many of the themes that Araki worked on during his entire career since that. So we're talking about a period of 55 years in which Araki has photographed. Of course, he's well known for his nudes, photographs of food, photographs of flowers, photographs of daily life in Tokyo. But these repeated themes throughout his work are very much in evidence at the very start of his career in these photographs, which were produced when he was a very young man. The other work by a Japanese photographer is called Hong Kong, and it's by Yamauchi Michio, who is a Japanese photographer who his career, which has lasted, again, about 40 years, has led him to focus on photographing the major cities of Asia. And as part of that, he came to Hong Kong in 1997, 1995 through 1997. He came to Hong Kong several times and photographed Hong Kong in his own distinctive style, which is to get very close to his subjects. And so it's like 1990s Hong Kong close up to the people, the places, and the streets. He's very much a street photographer, photographing ordinary daily life in the city. So what we see here is a portrait of Hong Kong just before the handover back to China in 1997. Now, this work was published at the time in the 1990s in a book which was long sold out. So after I came to Hong Kong almost 7 years ago, I very much wanted to republish this work. And so about 5 years ago, we were able to republish a nice edition of Yamauchi's work of Hong Kong. So that's the work and the book that I've introduced today.